Hey everyone, so let's talk about a force you feel every single second of your life, gravity. But we're going to look at it from a totally different angle. Not as our friend, not as what keeps us on the ground, but as this kind of silent, hidden enemy when it comes to medical recovery.
I mean, think about it. Could the very thing holding you down also be hurting you? It's a question most of us have never even thought to ask, right? Because when we're up and about, gravity is just gravity. But imagine for a moment you can't move. For patients on long-term bed rest, that same constant force becomes a source of some really significant and surprising harm.
You look at a hospital bed and you think, okay, that's a place for healing. But the reality is, for many patients, it's the start of a whole new problem. Under the relentless pull of gravity, a standard bed can actually turn from a tool of recovery into a source of constant threat, leading to terrible sleep and even severe tissue damage. The advanced solutions we're going to talk about, well, they exist for a reason, to fight this exact problem.
So let's really unpack what's going on here. We're going to dive deep into the surprising danger in our first section, the unseen gravity problem.
Okay, so what's so fascinating about this is how simple the idea behind it is. Have you ever woken up with a totally dead arm because you slept on it wrong? That numb pins and needles feeling? Well, that's your body's alarm system basically screaming at you that pressure has cut off your blood flow. Now just imagine you can't move to relieve that pressure. Not for a minute, but for hours or days or even weeks. That's the brutal reality for these patients. And this brings us right to the very tool that's supposed to be helping, the hospital bed. So let's jump to section 2 and see how, in a lot of ways, the standard issue bed is a massive part of the problem. The consequences of this nonstop pressure they're immediate and they're severe. We are not talking about just being a little uncomfortable here. We're talking about serious damage to tissue, which of course slows down rehabilitation and makes the whole recovery process an absolute nightmare. And all of this can lead to the development of pressure ulcers, these painful, dangerous wounds that are incredibly difficult to treat. And it actually gets worse. The quality of sleep patients get in these beds, it's a shocking 20%. Just 20%. And that's not just about feeling groggy. No. This level of sleep deprivation has really dangerous delayed effects, like weakening the immune system and increasing the risk of other illnesses. It just makes an already bad situation so much worse. This whole phenomenon is so significant that it actually has a name: gravitational injury. And it's not a single event. It's this devastating chain reaction, a cascade of damage that starts with simple pressure and can actually end with the death of cells inside the body. This really illustrates that frightening progression. It's a 14-stage downward spiral. It all starts with something that sounds manageable, right? Tissue crushing and a little less oxygen. But from there, it climbs to cellular stress. And this is a critical tipping point where the injury can still be reversed. But if that pressure isn't relieved, the damage becomes permanent, leading to cell death. And the final awful phase? That's when you get pressure ulcers and a decline in the patient's entire system. Now look at this. This shows us the baseline, the problematic standard we have right now. On a typical hospital bed, the injury level consistently hits stages 5 and 6, right in that cellular stress zone. Now for you or me, our brain sounds an alarm at this point and forces us to roll over in our sleep. But for a patient who can't move, that alarm just keeps on ringing as the damage gets worse and worse. But thankfully, technology is fighting back against this invisible enemy. So let's move on to section 3 and look at the first major leap forward, the bionic improvement. This is a bionic sleep system. And just by providing much better support and spreading out the pressure more effectively, it stops that injury cascade at stage 4. Now that is a huge deal because it keeps the body from ever getting into that critical high-damage cellular stress phase in the first place. And here's the number that really shows its impact. Bionic systems get to an 80% neutralization of gravity's harmful pressure. So what does that really mean for the patient? It means their body is finally free enough to get into more natural, aligned, and symmetrical postures, which is absolutely essential for healing to even begin.
80% is a fantastic improvement. But what if we could get even closer? What if we could almost make a patient feel weightless? Welcome to section 4, the AI-powered solution. Meet the MetaBed. This is a complete game changer. It uses artificial intelligence to actively, continuously manage pressure, keeping the injury level down at stage 1 or 2. We're talking basic tissue crushing that is completely and immediately reversible. The whole downward spiral is stopped before it even really gets started.
So how does it do it? Well, this isn't just a reactive mattress that feels a bit more comfortable. No, it's a proactive, intelligent system. AI software is monitoring the patient's body in real time, controlling tiny micro movements to constantly adjust and neutralize pressure points before they can ever become a problem.
And this chart just perfectly illustrates the incredible technological leap. I mean, look at this. If we look at how well these beds neutralize pressure, the common bed is way down here at a pretty low baseline. The bionic system makes that huge jump to 80%. But the AI-powered MetaBed, it gets us to a staggering 99% neutralization. It's basically the closest thing we have to healing in a zero-gravity environment.
So what does all this mean for the future of medicine? Let's explore that in our final section, Reimagining Recovery. I love this quote from the source material. It's just so powerful. The damage is minimal and completely reversible. Just let that sink in for a second. That one sentence represents a monumental shift in what's possible for patient care and the very nature of how we heal. Let's just put it side by side to really see the difference. The old reality was one of pretty much inevitable tissue damage, slow and painful recoveries, and a constant focus on treating the wounds that gravity was causing. The new possibility with technology like the MetaBed is proactive neutralization, which leads to faster, healthier healing. We're shifting our entire focus away from treatment and toward true prevention. And that just brings us to a final, really powerful thought. For so long, the harm caused by gravity was just seen as an unavoidable part of being sick. This technology proves it isn't. And it makes you wonder, if we can effectively neutralize gravity, what other invisible problems that we just accept today are we on the verge of solving next? It's a pretty exciting future to think about.